Good morning, Susie here again. I've had some requests to do some more readings from some of the books that I have been reading myself lately. So this morning I was going to read a portion out of this book. Bit hard to see. It's called Your Inner Conversations Are Creating Your World, and it's by Neville Goddard. Now, this is a portion from Lecture 5. So, it may seem incredible, but it's true. The world in which we live is the world of imagination. In fact, life itself is an activity of imagining. All that we behold, though it appears without, is within. It is our imagination, of which the world of mortality is but a shadow. Nothing appears or continues in being by a power of its own. Events happen because comparatively stable imaginal activity created them, and they continue in being only as long as they receive such support. Therefore, the secret of imagining is the greatest of all problems, the solution of which everyone should aspire. For supreme power, supreme wisdom, and supreme joy lie in the solution of this great mystery. When men solve the mystery of imagining, he will have discovered the secret of causation, and that is, imagining creates reality. Divine imagining and human imagining are not two powers at all, but one. And that's important. It's the divine that's in us. And we are creating our own worlds. The valid distinction which exists between them lies not in the substance with which they operate, but in the degree of intensity of the operant power itself. So divine imagining is imagining from our open heart space, from our sense of power, from our all it is, or, from our point of power, really, because the point of power is in the now. So the more intensely you can focus your imagination, the more able you will be to have that manifest quickly into your life. So acting at a high tension, an imaginal act is an immediate objective fact. Keyed low, an imaginal act is realised in the time processed. Human history, with its forms of government, its resolutions of war, and the rise and fall of nations, could be written in terms of imaginal activities of men and women. All imaginative men and women are forever casting forth enchantment, and all passive men and women who have no powerful imaginative lives are continually passing under the spell of their power. If imagination is the only thing that acts or is in existing beings or men, as Blake believes, then we should never be certain it was not some woman treading in the winepress who began the subtle change in men's minds, or that the passion, because of which the earth has been drenched in blood, did not begin in the imagination of the shepherd boy, lighting up his eyes for a moment before it ran upon its way. So Neville Goddard believes strongly in the power of imagination, as do I do, and it's proved itself many times in my life. So just a little bit further on in the same lecture, imagining the wish fulfilled brings about a union with the state. He's talking about the state of our being, ourselves, brings about a union within ourselves. And during that union, we behave in keeping with our imaginal change. So this shows us that imaginal change will result in a change of behaviour. However, our ordinary imaginal alterations as we pass from one state to another are not transformations, because each of them is so rapidly succeeded by the other in reverse direction. But whenever one state grows so stable as to become our constant mood, our habitual attitude, then that habitual state defines our character and is our true transformation. So when we continue our imagination along a similar subject or point of view, then that continued focus becomes habitual and will run subconsciously or automatically in our life. So to change that is a matter of changing our thoughts or changing our imagination, using both actually. Let me call to your attention the design on the cover of a record. You will notice a man sitting on a park bench, imagining himself to be in a home. The secret of those who lie in bed awake while they dream things true. They know how to live in their own dream house until in fact they do. Man, through the medium of a controlled waking dream, can predetermine his future. The imaginal activity of living in the feeling of the wish fulfilled leads man across a bridge of incidents to the fulfillment of his dream. If we live in the dream thinking from it, now that's really important, to think from your dream, to be in your dream and imagine living from that place and not of it, then the creative power of imagining will answer our adventurous fancy, and the wish fulfilled will break into us, upon us, and take us unaware. Man is all imagination. Therefore, man must be where he is in imagination, for his imagination is himself. To realise that imagination is not something tied to the senses or enclosed with the special boundary of the body is important. For though man moves about in space by movement of his physical body, he need not be so restricted. He can move by a change in what he is aware of. However real the scene on which sight rests, man can gaze in one never before witnessed. He can always remove the mountain if it upsets his concept of what life ought to be. So you can actually travel, if you're believing of it, through your imagination. And the more real you can accept that imagination to be, the more power it has over you. The ability to mentally move from things as they are to things as they ought to be is one of the most important discoveries man can make. It reveals man as the centre of imagining, with powers of intervention which enable him to alter the course of observed events, moving from success to success through a series of mental transformations of nature, of others, and of himself. Now, how does he do it? Self-abandonment, that's the secret. He has to abandon himself mentally to his wish fulfilled. In his love for that state, and in doing so, live in the new state and no more in the old state. Now, we can't commit ourselves to do what we do not love, so the secret of self-commission is faith plus love. Faith is believing in what is incredible. We commit ourselves to the feeling of the wish fulfilled in faith that this act of self-commission will become a reality, and it will, because imagining creates reality. Imagination is both conservative and transformative. It is conservative when it builds its worlds from images supplied by memory and the evidence of the senses. It is creatively transformative when it imagines things as they ought to be, building its world out of the generous streams of fancy. In the process of images, the one that takes precedent naturally are those of the senses. Nevertheless, a present sense impression is only an image. It does not differ in nature from a memory image or the image of a wish. What makes a present sense impression so objectively real is the individual's imagination, functioning in it and thinking from it. Whereas in a memory of it or a wish, the individual's imagination is not functioning in it and thinking from it. The individual's imagination oh yes, he's not functioning in it and thinking from it, but he's functioning out of it and thinking of it. So a wish is keeping yourself separate from that imagination, and to use imagination to create is thinking from it, becoming part of that imagination and living as if it is already. So that's as far as I'm concerned, the really most important part, is to think from it and to be in love with that scenario, so much so that you are focused intently upon it, believing that it is. So I might leave that there for today. It's given you a bit to think about. And please post questions underneath. If you want to continue from this exact same thread, then let me know and I'll continue reading from there in our next reading episode. If you would like me to continue these reading episodes, also, please comment below. Gosh, I don't know if any of you saw my happy face the other day, but yes, I have quite a considerable self-help library and lots of books that I absolutely adore, and I have plenty I can read from. So post your comments below, let me know what you want, and have a great day. I'll catch you all tomorrow. Bye.